It's looking dark again. I think it's just
Is it-
YouTube trying
I've got
to.
the battery's all
Oh,
right.
it's
isn't it?
all right. It's gone up a bit.
Can you see? Is it all right?
Yeah.
All right, lovely.
These things are not on here now.
They're trying to.
Dad's glasses.
No,
no.
actually on this screen.
Oh, it says tag friends or something.
Oh,
Share.
Yeah.
We're not doing any of that.
So we started the live.
Yes, we're
Yes,
live.
it's
Sarah.
live. We're live.
We are live.
We're live.
Just in case you didn't know, please don't start.
I already saw that. I thought, why making it look like that and then it's not even real?
Funny.
Right. So. Just, here we go.
That's the battle. Oh, it's funny. Yeah.
Everybody. Good day, folks. That one seems miles away, doesn't it?
But then
Just bend the top a little bit. Yeah. That's good. I mean, yeah. So we're just
Yeah,
shifting things around a bit.
That's
Cool.
it,
So
yeah.
got that,
better.
because then it's not got that big wide angle.
That angle, yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
camera on there is much better than the one
Yeah,
here in terms of how it
Yeah, the
pans
scope.
out, the scope of it.
Why is it? They're obviously on your account.
So part 2,
That's it.
we're just taking our time,
Your name.
just observe.
So
So just observing to see if a couple of people join or not. It doesn't matter if they don't join. They don't join. We'll just give them a couple of minutes. So we'll just kind of chat like the breeze and feel. If they don't join, it's fine because we'll just say what we're saying and we'll be off. Of course, you think you're calling it.
Yeah.
Facebook are trying anything on Angelica's account.
Right?
They've logged her out. Now it's taking
yeah,
her
they
long
do that
to
now.
log me back in.
Have you got? Have you
They
put your
do
passport
that.
in?
Yeah,
They
they
don't
do
do that to me.
Yeah, they do that.
Never
They
happened
do
to
that
me
to me
before.
quite often.
Yeah, they started doing that.
No internet connection.
Well, they're having a laugh. There's plenty of
Internet there. Internet there.
Internet there, internet there, internet there.
So how's there no internet connection? I'm trying it. No, I've never been logged out actually.
Well, I have plenty of times.
Oh, have you at all?
No.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're obviously on your
Why
account.
does it have to be today and now?
So we're nearly, it's going up to 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So maybe whoever was meant to be logging on might have logged on and not found us.
Yeah, usually we were starting at 6.
6:30. A bit late today because of you.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
We were sat here waiting for you and you were out there making whatever you're drinking.
Yeah.
But anyway, in any case, we know that people do watch it retrospectively,
Yeah.
which is absolutely fine.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that a number of people probably will have looked at what we said and did last time, and probably, in their opinion, will have said it. We talked last time, I think, about some of what the problem is, but we didn't really talk about the answer to the problem. And in fact, that was what I said, that today we should kind of try and talk about the answer to the problem. So before you can do that, I think we need to, at least by way of introduction anyway, define what do we mean by when we're talking about talking to the streets. Who are we talking about? What are we talking about? So here goes my definition. So you've got several categories of people who are on the road.
Mhm.
Roadman, the definition of roadman is exactly that, a man who is on the road. I think it's even found in the dictionary nowadays, isn't it?
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Um,
think so. Yeah. Well, twerk is and
You
all them
know,
kind of stuff.
and basically a roadman has more than one definition because a roadman is not necessarily a drug dealer.
Mm.
A roadman could be a drug dealer, but he might also be the friend of a drug dealer and he's not dealing drugs.
It's not drug dealing and roadman are not synonymous.
Yeah.
So, and for those who think that, you're wrong. He might also be somebody who just spends his time on the road because he's got nowhere else to be,
Mm.
and that classifies him technically as a roadman, especially if he wears the roadman uniform, which we're going to come to in a minute. But that still doesn't necessarily make him a roadman. But a real roadman is a man who has business on the road.
Mm.
Right? That would be the classic definition of a roadman, a man who has business on the road, whatsoever business that may be, and that could be drug dealing, could be pimping, and other things. But basically, a lot of it is to do with criminality, but not always. The other type of guy who's on the road who will have that term roadman, like I said, is those who don't have family connections at home, so they make their family connections on the road.
Yeah.
Some of them end up joining gangs. Some of them are on the periphery. They're friends with gangs and gang members, but basically everybody on the road knows them because that's where they find them. So that's from that perspective. Then you've got the girls who hang on. You've got the girls who hang on to these guys and hang on to these groups. Then you have, like I said, drug dealers who are part of that whole thing. You have people who are buying the drugs, who spend a lot of their time on the road. Then you have women who are doing business on the road, who are selling themselves on the road. A large majority of those are drug addicted and alcohol addicted. And there's probably even still more definitions than that. But those are at least the wider definitions of who is what out there on the road. So now the issue of why we even began talking about this last week was because of the roadmen who are killing each other on the road, and because of the nasty comments from people who don't understand what goes on the road. Oh, I did forget, by the way, sorry, the homeless, because they're still on the road.
Yeah.
And some people are on the road homeless because they chose to be there. Some are on the road homeless because they can't cope, in a property, and they struggle to look after the property. They struggle to look after themselves in the property. A lot of it is to do with mental health, ill health, and some of it is antisocial behaviour. So they end up on the road. Some are people who have come out of prison and were basically just kicked out of the prison and they have nowhere to go. So they end up being again a roadman. They went to prison for being a roadman. They're kicked out of prison and they're back on the road again. It's the cycle and the circle. And a lot of people are just going, yeah, so what? Doesn't affect me and it's none of my people, so I'm all right. But that's where the problem is, because it is people who look just like us. A lot of it, not only, but in the main, especially in terms of the ones who are killing each other, they just look like us. And some of them, we know them personally as family members and friends of family. So the problem then is that, what are we saying and what are we doing about that? I'm not going to be the only one doing all the talking, obviously, but I'm just giving the introduction, and we'll see where we go with it, as well as whoever comes on and starts listening. You put your comments there. But the thing is, there's at least two things that have to be looked at. Number one is the social economical approach, which has to do with community and to do with police, social services, etc. And then there is the what I would classify as the spiritual approach, which is the church. Hi, Angel.
Hi, Angel.
So I want us to look at least those two views. And I have some strong things to say about both sides. You know, with evidence. I never speak without evidence. So I think that's kind of where we're at. So the next speaker is Madame Speaker Tamar Chambers.
Before you say anything, yesterday we were making a flyer. And then what did we put first? Because we were looking for images. So we put on the road. So of course, but no, what did we put? No, roadman. That's what we put, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
To see
then,
if anything would come up.
anything would come up. Then guess what? Lots of images of people by the road, broken down vehicles and all that. So we said, no, that's not what we are looking for. That's not what we're looking for. So then we put grime. Oh yeah, so that came with some photos, graffiti and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was a mixture, of people on depicted on the pictures and images that came up. Immediately, we put guns on. Guess what? Flagged up straight away. Every picture was some black man, brown man with a knife, with a gun, with straight away.
And suddenly there's no more mixed culture.
No mix of nothing. I was like, whoa, what is that telling us?
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? Exactly that. What is that telling us? Because I've said this many a times about the programming that's going on right now in the world.
Professional hairstyle.
Yes,
This
that's
didn't get checked out. It didn't go through.
Oh,
Good thing I checked, isn't it?
we'll do that later then.
No, I'll do it now.
You
guys carry on.
Yeah.
It's 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm one.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll
That's
do
fine.
it now.
Yeah, when you type in professional hairstyles and see what pops up there. And
Yeah.
unprofessional hairstyles. It's the same programming.
Yeah, the same
Wow.
programming. Professional hairstyles, white looking people. Oh, what are you trying to connect?
Who?
Facebook, they're trying to mash us up because we're talking too much facts, clearly.
Yeah,
Right, we're back on.
Yeah, we're still on. Back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Anyway, what was I saying? I'm gonna have to probably repeat it now.
Oh, about professional hairstyles.
Yeah, the professional hairstyles. Yeah, like Angelica said, when it's professional hairstyles, suddenly it's pale skinned people.
Only.
Yeah, only, and that's a fact because I've looked up this myself.
So you
Or
can all
people-
look it up
yeah,
yourself.
literally.
Type it into the Google right now.
Yeah, or unprofessional hairstyles. Suddenly it's black people. Yeah, pictures of black people. Why is our hair unprofessional? Our natural hair. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Even they said, oh, yeah, you can't have locks at work.
But why?
Yeah, because someone I know
Oh yeah.
chopped off his locks because he didn't feel, that they wanted him, that the job, was happy with his locks. But I'm not interested.
Why are people
Nah.
whitewashing themselves?
Well, why do you think? Because they're programmed, and because they obviously don't have enough. What's the word?
Identity.
Yeah, they don't have enough, identity. They don't know who they are. They're not understanding their strength in themselves, and then how they're supposed to be is not weak or bad. It's strong and good, but they're thinking, oh, it's bad because they're saying I look unprofessional and that may hinder me getting a job, or being able to progress in my career and all them kind of things. And when you see these things like on TV, like I said last week, it's the same thing with the Blue Story, that film. And they said, and when that film came out, it came out in cinemas, right? And they said something happened in the cinemas between two rival gangs that went to go see it.
Yeah, because that's why they blocked it off.
That's right. That's
Is
what
it
they
is
said.
this guy again?
Is it one of those?
Black Lives
It's
Matter?
Tom
rants?
McGee. No, it isn't. If you were listening, then you would know.
What's that? Is he asking
Some
what?
idiot. Is it one of those BLM rants?
We
No,
don't
it's
even
not.
support.
Who's
BLM.
that saying that?
Some
Tom
strange
Maggie.
guy that came on there last week.
That
actually.
troll from last time.
All right. Well, whatever it is, and we don't really care what you think. So
Well, I
you
don't know
know,
what
you
it's
can
called.
quite easily test yourself and go
Yeah.
somewhere
Keep
else,
scrolling.
or stay here and be educated.
Yeah,
And
That's
we
your
don't. And
choice.
we don't rant, by the way.
Yeah.
exactly.
We actually speak quite clearly,
Yep. Never ran.
quite professionally, quite coherently,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and quite precisely.
exactly.
There's no ranting involved in that.
Considering the
You see
topics
what I
that
mean?
we,
Because it's Black Lives something, it has to be some ranting.
Mm.
yeah.
You
And
know, what the heck? What's that?
and by the way, Tom McGee, is that the name?
Yeah.
I don't support Black Lives Matter.
You
No,
already
So
know.
you're wrong about that. I
Completely.
don't support that.
Why would I support?
I don't even call
Some
myself
agenda.
black. I don't classify myself as black.
Exactly.
He is black.
And that
Okay?
and yeah,
And
none
that's
of
not my
us.
colour. So, like I said, you can stay here and be educated,
Or you can go about your business.
take yourself away.
Back to my original point before I was rudely interrupted.
By
Yeah.
nobody.
I can't even get back to my point now.
Oh no, I think we started with the professional hairstyles and then you move on from that.
No, I moved on
No,
from
no,
that
no.
now. You're not even helping.
Confuse you again.
Oh,
No, well, just speak about something else.
Smoke's laugh. You know,
Speak about
I
something
keep
else.
laughing at that Tom McGee
Yeah.
thing. But as I was saying, you know,
Yes, programming. That's what
yes,
we're talking
that's
about.
what I was talking about, the programming that's going
Yes,
on.
you've got a good flyer. New flyer for
Mm-mm.
nice, eh?
Yeah.
I'm not showing you lot, you'll have to wait.
Yeah, the programming that's going on. That's what I was talking about. It's come back to me now. Blue Story. That's it. And what happened in the cinemas, right? I'll stay and be educated. That's
Oh,
good.
that's a nice one.
Nice. So, in the cinemas now, they what they said was, oh, they're banning the film Blue Story. It won't be shown in cinemas anymore because it incites too much
They
violence.
did ban it for a
Right.
little while.
And they did,
Yeah.
yeah, and they banned it for a
Yeah,
little
you couldn't
while,
even
right?
find it.
No, you couldn't. And the thing is, because it was like it was one of those films that did really well when it first came out, wasn't it? Because lots of people went to see it, and obviously lots of roadmen went to see it because in their opinion, it's a film
It
depicting
speaks,
their
it
life.
speaks about what they're going through,
Yeah.
or what's going on in their
Yeah,
lives.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was though they said, oh yeah, because black youths are doing this and that and this and that, and it wasn't even black youths. It was some, I think they were Pakistani or Asian or something. Yeah, it was two Asian people that had some sort of gang issue or something, some kind of issue with each other, and they were there having some fight in the cinema, and one of them pulled out some
brown people, in other words.
Yeah, some brown
who actually all of them are the ones, at least in terms of London, who are the main perpetrators of knife crime.
Yeah.
They are always, unfortunately, the majority of them are people of colour.
Yeah.
They are the main perpetrators. But that's also, if you look at it a little deeper, it's also a cultural dynamic behind that, why that happens. But that doesn't mean, for 1 second, that there are not as many white people who are fighting. They fight a lot.
Yeah.
You know, don't fool yourselves because they report what they want to report. I worked the doors of pubs and clubs for 20 years. And I'm telling you now, there were more fights breaking out with people who were, you know, British white than there were of any of the others. And that's a fact. Absolute fact.
Yeah.
Especially on football times.
Yeah.
This is the thing, but everybody's what you see in the media, you're made to believe that it's not white. There's no white people that are doing anything like that, And if they are, they're just the crusty ones, the poor ones.
And if you look
Yeah.
historically, those things came from those people anyway.
Well, this is the thing.
But the problem you see is that when you look at people who are, classified as roadmen, for want of to use that term, most people always kind of look and think automatically of people of color. Guys who are on the road, they don't have a color.
No, they don't.
They do not. You may assume, because sometimes you'll see a gang and they all are the same color, but you'll also see gangs that have got people who are a variety of colors and cultures and religions in the same gang, because they connect by their gang first. And that's why you've got to understand what the problem is, because this is the problem, that it's identity and family that brings them together. And they have a street identity and a street family. And if you're going to help these people or going to break into it, you've got to break that. So getting busy talking about who's what color and who's what culture, you're wasting your time. Because there's as many white guys selling drugs as there are black. There's as many Pakistani, Indian and Bangladeshi guys selling drugs as there are anybody else. There's as many of them stabbing each other, except London, where London the statistics are a bit imbalanced. In London, the balance of statistics is that people of color are stabbing each other more than any of the others. But countrywide, statistically, the balance is that white people stab each other just as much as people of color. And that's a fact. We don't really care what color the person is who's stabbing the other person. We want them to stop. Right? So that's the main thing that you've got to understand. That you've got to understand how to break into that culture. Because the roadman culture is a very specific culture.
I think people don't see it as a. I think a lot of people they don't see it as a culture. It's like they just see it as, I think a lot of people think it's just an act, maybe, because you see a lot of things that are made to be funny. Taking the mick out of roadmen, and then you see the films and things like that, and the TV shows. And all those kind of things, and it kind of downplays what's really going on. It desensitizes everyone to what's going on out there, because I think when people watch a show or see a funny thing, they kind of, oh yeah, that's funny, or yeah, that's a good juicy show, but it's probably exaggerated. It's probably not what's really going on out there. When in reality, those shows are probably very accurate. And actually, there's probably things that are left out that are not in there. What's going on?
Because there's a lot.
There's lots going on. Because look at London, right? As a place in general, has a different culture to the rest of the country. Anyway, and that's a fact. And that's why you called them Londoners there. I remember at university, that's all you say. Oh, them Londoners. They're just. They're different. They're not like the rest of us, and that's the truth.
Oh yes, I can attest to the reality of that, because having been grown up in Cambridge, but I spent majority of my time, actually, I would say, to an extent, was spent in London.
We need to stab the problem in the back.
Yes, that's it. Very good. And having spent so much of my time in London, there is an absolute difference in the mentality of people in London. And I guess to an extent, because it's the capital city and stuff like that, everything is much more faster paced.
It is.
Very.
This lady here of mine, she hadn't been to London. When I took her to London, she was like, because everything is like this. I love it.
You got to move.
I've come to Leeds and I've gone to sleep.
Very slow. Do you know how annoying sometimes I'm trying to walk and someone's just there
and they don't want to move to the side or nothing. Need to walk at your pace.
I learned to
It's just what
drive.
happens.
So they're about what's going on with the connection thing. I'm
Who
like,
said
yeah.
that?
Sarah said it's just what happens. They try
Yeah.
to mash it up.
Yeah, they
sometimes.
try to do that sometimes.
But yeah, that's what they do.
But you know what I think?
I'm talking. Wait. I learned to drive in London, and because I mean, at least now with new traffic measures, it's kind of cooled up a bit. It's not like it used to be. But in London, the way that people drive, they know London is very busy.
Babylon are sending blurs and
And everybody wants to get from A to B very quickly.
Yeah.
And the whole fast pace of London, even in terms of the traffic, is replicated in everything that everybody does. It's like that. So you'll see on the road, a man will take a chance. You know, the way they're driving. You do it here, they'll blindly drive into you. You know, you'll see in London, guys will just divert around you and do what they're doing
Yeah.
so that everybody can keep moving. In Leeds, they'll just come
They'll
to a
just
standstill.
crash. Yeah,
You'll have to, or
crash.
they'll crash into you,
Yeah.
or you'll have to be calling police because everybody's at a standstill.
Yeah.
Nobody's trying to maneuver around and let you through and somebody else
Yeah.
goes.
Or they don't know how
You
to.
know,
You're there.
or you'll stop. You'll stop because you've got the right of way. You're trying to come through. They're trying to drive down, and you stop.
Yeah.
They'll jump out their car. I'm talking Leeds now.
Yeah.
You black bastard. You black
Yeah,
monkey.
yeah.
Why don't you get back on the banana boat? This is not how we drive in Africa, and
Yeah.
all these type of things. And I laugh because it's Leeds,
Yeah.
and that's why they do that.
Yeah.
And I
That
told
would
the
be
guy
the-
one
that
time,
one
this,
there.
nowadays I'm cool, and I've been in Leeds a long time. So, you know, in the early days, when I came to Leeds, and they tried stuff like that, I used to carry baseball bats in my boot. Right? I'm not shy, so I'm telling you how it goes. You get me?
Yeah.
Don't think because I'm a Christian, I'm an idiot, and that you can step in my face. Because until the day I die, make a man try violate. And for those of you who didn't understand that language, Tamar will translate for you. I'm telling you.
Well, go on then, translate. Let's see if
They
there's
violate who you were and the person you are and your, what you stand for. Bam, back in the head.
Yeah.
Well,
That can
not
work,
exactly,
but that'll do. Yeah.
that will do.
I'm hurt then.
But that is it. My man started racing up himself. Some Yorkshire geezer carrying on with himself. So I just pulled up my car right in the middle of the road, in the middle of the traffic. Bam! I just stopped and flew the boot. And then I just had a little conversation with him. Right? That's how I'm putting it. And I just reminded him, I said, yo, I don't come from around here. As you can hear by the way I'm speaking, I have a different mentality. So don't think that your Bushman mentality can work with me, because it won't.
But it's true.
Right? And you know, I'm saying that all to say that there is a world of difference.
Yeah.
When you look at some of these things, you're like, why are they doing that? You've got to understand some of these guys who are in inner city, especially London, it's hardcore in every way.
Yeah,
It's not like some of the suburbs
No.
where people are just, I'm a bad man. You're a bad man in your trousers.
When people say concrete
You know,
jungle, they mean it.
You know, foolishness. But some of those guys who are the way they are, they're under serious pressure.
Yeah.
You know,
From all angles as well.
and now some of that type of pressure is coming into other ghettoized areas in other urbanized cities like Leeds, Manchester,
It's
Sheffield,
spreading across the
Birmingham,
country.
Liverpool. You know, so you get those pockets, and now people automatically want to blame it on the guys.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because that. No, you need to blame it, if you want to put blame anywhere, on the government.
Yeah.
The governmental
real.
structure, as in, you know, Parliament, followed by their city councils and their local council leaders, because they ghettoize areas and they leave them and let them run down in every single possible way.
Yeah.
What today
Meanwhile,
I
they
phoned the
line their
council.
pockets.
I phoned the council so that I can see if I can get a slot, to go and throw stuff at the
Oh
tip.
yeah, for the tips. Yeah.
Oh, well, he said, oh, well, you should have gone online, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, I've tried, I can't, something must be wrong with the system. He said, all right, then, anyway, to be a process, you'll have to go, you'll have to give me your name, blah, blah, blah. I said, all right, then, yeah, you just get on with it. So he said, oh, well, there's no slots available. So, we just carried on chatting, and we're talking about the Hair Hills environment and all the tipping that goes on, around the corners and around the street. Fly tipping. And the man said they know that it's happening and they can't do anything about it.
Well, they won't.
They won't do anything about it. And I said, look, at just now, I am just, some regular, Joe off the road trying to procure, like a slot to go and tip my stuff. And it's in the unforeseeable future, I can't get a time or a slot. I have to be going there every week, every other week to check for a slot.
To keep checking.
To keep on checking. So then, and I'm thinking, what do you think they're supposed to do? Some of them don't even have the chance to be on a computer or a phone to be able even to get, to go online to be able to. What are they going to do? They just stick them on the street.
They'll just dump the stuff on somebody's corner.
Yeah, and that's what's happening. Instead of the government intervening and trying to see can they put a skip so that people put the stuff there and then they lift it off. Because if they did that, that would be so easy. Instead of people having sofas and beds and a whole house is at the corner of the street.
Yeah. Mattresses. There's even a sink.
Yeah.
Out on the street one time.
But you see, this is what happens because the same people are the ones who are being congregated in all the same area.
That's right.
Yeah, because why they don't put them in adults, put them in all Woodley. You will never find them there.
You notice it because when it comes to getting a house, like through the government, which is what they call the council, through the council. When you get a house, which if you can't house yourself, they're supposed to house you. That's how it works.
Yeah.
You first of all, it's a long process. They make it hard in every single way for you. Then on top of that, when you're saying, oh, what about this area? What about that? Oh no, you can't go to this area. You don't have connections. You can't go to this area because of this reason. You can only go in these areas. And they choose which area you're allowed to live.
Because they're looking at certain types of
connections.
And now that's exactly where this problem begins in terms of these guys on the road. And okay, we talk a lot more about them because they kind of are the kingpin behind everything else that happens out there. Because even the prostitutes in an area are not really a law unto themselves. There's usually pimps who are behind that. And there's always drug dealers who are following the prostitutes because 97% of them are drug and alcohol addicted. So, these are some of the issues.
We should bring them here, they won't be in the street.
So the problem is that these people are being put in these areas. So you guys go and live there. Those are your people. Those are your connections.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, we're all living in the city together, we should mix together right across the city. No, it's not happening. So they ghettoize areas. Because then what happens is that all of the resources for those particular areas are limited in comparison to some other areas. So you find that they start closing community centers. They start defunding youth workers.
Closing the programs.
They don't have effective community policing. And by that, we're not talking, because you've got to understand, when they put a policeman, it's, this is community policeman, but this is some little idiot who was bullied in school, who's now jumped into a police uniform and hates everybody, including himself. And they put that person there as a community police worker. Now, the only person, or the only people rather, who speak to that community policeman are snitches. And the saying, snitches get stitches. So there are a whole heap of snitches are bitches. A whole heap of people don't chat to snitches. So they are divided because instead of the police saying, yo, let's see how do we work within the community, because yeah, we know there are some problems that we have to deal with, and we have to deal with them on a sensitive basis, because we don't want to be basically putting people on the line.
Yeah.
Right? And you need to be a certain type of person to be able to be put on the line.
Yeah.
And not everybody can do that because they don't have the capacity. They don't have, let's say, even the tenacity. Right? What's wrong with you guys now?
Keeps squeezing and now she's crying and I can't eat it.
Shut up.
Oh,
I know.
I'm all right.
Now, for instance, I'll give you an example. In an area here in Leeds where I used to live, where drug dealing is like the #1 occupation.
Yeah, for real.
For
That was
for
the
everybody,
hood.
right?
The hood, yeah.
Now, when I used to live over that side, guys used to be dealing right outside my front door. When I say right
Yeah.
outside, I mean
Boom.
literally sitting on my wall and dealing to
That's
prostitutes and so forth, hiding their drugs in my bush. So I told them straight, yo,
remember that.
put anything inside there again and see if you find it. Now, not everybody can be like me, and I'm not saying that that's how everybody has to deal with it. But what I'm saying is that people need to also be given the confidence to confront things where they need to, which means that you have to be backed up.
Yeah.
And now I'm not a back down type of person. And if I give you my story, this is part of where the problem is. Because I had to fight tooth and nail to get the support from the police that I needed. Plus, I trust in the Almighty God, and there's some other things that, if you want to know the spiritual aspect, I'll tell you that another time, outside of this forum, maybe. But, I know that God works behind the scenes. When you put God to work, he works. But at the same time, there are some practical aspects that need to be put in place. Now, I'm going to mention some of those because I'm not scared. I've got nothing to hide.
Yeah.
I had to fight for it. When I say I mean we in our household at the time, to the point where we got the police to support what we were trying to do to break up the whole drug dealing aspect on that particular area where we were living. So we had 24/7 recording back in front of the house, courtesy of West Yorkshire Police. They paid for it. They installed the video recording equipment, and they monitored it. But I had to really push for them to do that. And my point is that there are many people who were scared, who wouldn't dare to do such a thing because they're also scared of the repercussions, and there's no support coming back from the police. Because now, when some of these guys on the road knew that that's what was happening, they come to me. You're an informer. I'm trying to keep it nice and English and nice and clean. They didn't say it as nicely as that. And then they started with their threats, gunshots, blah blah blah, this and that. Now again, because I know the system, I knew who to speak to and who to write to get that taken to yet another level, to the point where I had an armed response from the West Yorkshire Police, Leeds team anyway, as it were, to my house. And Simone, who is watching, decided to test and see if it's real, because we had a panic button, and if you press the panic button, they turn up, armed response front and back of the house. And Simone said, she didn't believe if it was real or not, so she decided to test. Oh, they came. They came. But one thing that it did do for sure, in terms of the guys on the street round and about, they knew my caliber after that. They knew it anyway, but certainly when they saw armed response back and front, there was no more discussion coming to me, gunshot, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You're an informer. We hate you. You should. There was no more of that because I stood my ground. But here's the interesting part in all of this. My youngest son, Zakai, is in prison for drug dealing. So after having done all of those things, stood up face to face against them, got many of them jailed, had armed police on the streets, and those armed police were on the streets at my request, and I got that done more than one time. I'm not going to give any more details about that. Those who remember some of the incidents when the police were on the street, in force with vans and many armed police, I am the one who's responsible. And I'm not ashamed of that in the slightest. Not at all. Because I know who were carrying guns on the street. They weren't ashamed to be carrying guns, and they're not security or police. They were carrying guns for their own reasons. So we made sure that some armed police came to have a look to see what they're carrying. That's how it goes. Because we have to care about our community.
Yeah.
We have to care about our people. And this is the problem, because not enough people do. They turn their back, they turn their face. Well, that's not affecting me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing to do with me.
There's nothing I can do about it, so that's their problem.
Yeah.
Leave it to them. This is where the problem really is.
Yeah.
You see, and if now you don't look at the reality of how deep the thing is, look at what happens. I'm one of those who stood against it to that level, but yet my own son still turned out to be a drug dealer, still joined the gang called The Flock. Yes, I'll use their name and mention and say who they are, because they're drug dealers, and that's what it's all about, plus a few other things. Right? He joined their gang, became Mr. Busy inside the gang, because he's Mr. Busy anyway, but he was just busy in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And to the point where he's now Mr. Busy in prison.
Yeah. For real.
Right? And why am I saying all of that? Simply because we have to understand that even though we did as much as we could, and I mean, some of that he didn't know because some of it happened before he was born, but at least by the time he was born, he could see how I was dealing with those kind of people. His connections on the road were so strong that it didn't stop him.
No.
And that's the reason why I'm bringing this up.
Yeah.
Because people have to understand those connections on the road are extremely strong.
Mhm.
Even mom moved places, where she lived from the hood to somewhere else.
Mhm.
And he was still in the hood
All the
every
time.
single day.
All the time.
Yeah. And this is what I mean, even threatening him and, we are watching you and stopping him all the time. They should have done something else, but this is the problem
they only
anyway.
interested-
They are only interested in putting people in jail. And that's all.
In incarceration. They're not interested in trying to give people support
Yeah.
and
That's
say,
right.
no, come
No
on.
diversionary
Yeah,
tactics.
diversionary tactics, or what's the word?
but that's why
You
they
know, when you
keep
come
putting
out of
drug addicts
jail.
in
Yeah.
there.
What's
Rehabilitation.
rehabilitation? No,
Yeah.
rehabilitation.
No,
So,
no.
instead, when they see these young, but yes, they can come to the area, but they should be coming to the area. Oh, what's going on? How are you lot?
Yeah.
What do you need help with? Anything? You can talk to us about things. But no, instead they're just going there to harass them
Yeah.
and to find that, oh yes, you've done this wrong. You're selling this, or you've got this on you, or
let's
I
have a
see
search.
you with
Yeah.
for no reason.
Because listen,
You look suspicious.
I'll give you an example. They decided, because this a couple of years ago there was quite a spate of knifings that were happening. So they said they wanted to do a police initiative to come against knife crime in the city of Leeds. Now the problem.
I was thought you were talking about the London thing.
No, Leeds.
Mhm.
But the problem with it is that as soon as Leeds police start to do their things, people are not interested.
Yeah.
Because
What they do, they try to fool people. Let me just put it straight,
And they do.
right? Let me just put it straight. They try to fool people
Yeah.
and attack man for idiot.
Yeah.
Right? And No man on the road is an idiot.
For real.
That's what you have to understand. They may not have gone to school properly, some of them, but no man on the road is an idiot. Right? That's the number one. Why do I say that? Well, here's the thing. First of all, they said, "Oh, we want to come against knife crime, and we want to support these young people across the city." Tom, I hope he learns from me too.
Yeah.
I speak to him as regularly as I can. We can't visit
Yeah.
because of this flipping COVID crap. So we've not even seen as much of him as we would have wanted to.
Yeah.
But he's doing all right, actually.
When you speak to him, you can see that
He's matured.
He's matured.
He's matured.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'll say this, then I'll go back to what I was saying. He at first was in an adult prison, and he was like the baby of that prison.
Yeah.
And I was really hoping and praying that they'd move him. And well, like I said, for those who believe in God, you know how it goes. I believe and I know that God worked and God moved him. He was then put in a juvenile prison, and he saw now how stupid, idiotic, and childish
When you're seeing them young
those others can be.
Yeah.
And it's not even that necessarily he's much older than some. Juvenile jail goes up to 21, even beyond. But it's the mentality. So he's learning something because he's understanding. No. And these guys they're not. What he said is that they're not moving.
Yeah.
There's no progression mentality. And we do see some kind of change with him, at least on that level. And by God's grace, when he comes out, we'll see how that will go.
Yeah.
So back to what I was saying. They decide we're going to support these young men to come out of knife crime. So I looked at that. I thought, oh yeah, really? Let's see what you're saying then. Okay, they didn't consult any of the churches or any of those community people like that.
Of course not.
And now I understood it to an extent, because also, if I was maybe put forward as a community worker, like a community liaison worker, I'd probably air the churches as well, because they ain't saying nothing. All right, let me say that straight. So any church people who are watching and you want to get vexed, I'll repeat it slowly. I would also air the churches because they ain't saying nothing.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
And as a yardman would say, I'm an architect, but I'm a talk. Right? So it's as straight as that. They ain't saying nothing. They're turning a blind eye and like, oh, is that what's happening?
Yeah.
So here we go. Police said, look, we're gonna do something. So what they did was a show.
Yeah.
They got
Nobody wants that.
they got people who, even when you looked at the pictures, and I mean, I went to one of the things because I had to go and see these people in person because I wanted to see. They said they're working with people. These were people who looked like if you even went, no, they would have died. Right? These are the ones that they said they're working with.
Of course.
Then they set up this bandoodle something. Right? Oh, we're checking them to see if they're coming through, and they are voluntarily being scanned for bladed weapons and other sharp weapons. So I'm looking at these people,
I ain't even got no weapons.
and these are the kind of people who would never dare to carry anything at any time.
Yeah. They're gonna be
All the proper roadmen who are carrying everything that you can think of, there's not one of them who went anywhere near any of those events.
Yeah.
Of course.
And this is what you have to understand.
They won't be.
because it's
But you know what?
Right?
How can
Hold on. We put on one small little thing, right? And some of the guys who came, Even on the day when they came, and this was in a park, they were carrying. Nobody wasn't scanning them and asking them any questions about what they're carrying or what they're not carrying. I'm just telling them, remember where you are. They know what I mean, and I know who they are. We didn't have any problem. We didn't have any trouble. But now when we're trying to now ask for support and help from the council and whoever for funding to do a real thing, right, and meet them at their level, they're not interested in that. They want them to come at there's already a place where they can come to. They're not coming to your place.
Exactly.
And that's what you're not understanding.
Yeah,
But you're not going to them on their terms, but you want them to come to you.
On yours.
They're not going to do it, and police are involved. What? Are you mad?
For them to then start
Are you
unraveling
joking?
what they're telling them and
Right?
then locking them up.
They're not going to do that because even I wouldn't go there,
Yeah.
right? I wouldn't go there, and this is what people are missing because they brought that forward and they said, oh, in Scotland, Scotland at one point, was the knife crime capital of the world, Glasgow. Yes, it was, but hear what? And now this one, Tom, is where we come to the thing about race, because you did ask about it. So here we go. In Scotland, they don't have a problem with Police Scotland because the majority of people that they're dealing with look exactly like the police.
Yeah.
So the police treat them the way that they would want to be treated.
Yeah.
So you're talking about white perpetrators, white victims, and white police.
Yeah.
When you come to certain other places, including Leeds, we're not talking about that.
It's not the same.
We're talking about racist police. We're talking about racist systems. And what do I mean by that? I mean racially prejudiced.
Yeah.
So in other words, colour prejudice. If you want the correct terminology and definition, it's colour prejudice. So they are treating people of a different colour with prejudicial assumptions.
Yes.
Right? That's exactly what we're talking about. And I myself have experienced that. And I've never carried no knife on the road. I've carried one or two other things. But I've never carried a knife on the road at any time. And even in my what I would say, sort of older time, still dirty racial police have been stopping me on the road.
Yeah.
Still. Tamar can probably remember one of the times I was driving. They were little. They were that small that when they were sat in the seat, you couldn't see them, through the window.
Yeah.
This policeman is driving me down. Right?
He was following us hard.
Following us hard. And I talk to my children about everything, even when they're small. So I'm saying to them, why is this policeman following us? What's his problem? So we're not speeding, which I would never be speeding with my children in the car. Everything on my car is legal. Everything is legal about me. Right? And I said, why is this policeman following us? I said, oh, well, we'll see in a minute when we stop at the lights. So we stop at the lights. He's come right up to the window. Then he's looking and he's seen the children. He's like, oh. I'm like, yeah, what?
Are these your children?
Are these your children? That was the stupid question. No, I bought them from Sainsbury's. What kind of foolish question? Because the man obviously had something else in mind. You see?
Yeah.
Because he's looking.
Oh, it's
He's already seen Jamaican flag inside that car. He can hear.
the music.
Well, actually, it was gospel reggae, but he could still hear reggae coming out of it. And I usually have a nice size speaker, a nice woofer in my boot. So, when I'm driving on the road, I'm shaking. So the policeman is like, oh.
Yeah, of course, getting excited, thinking he's getting a bonus.
So I said to him, is there anything wrong with the car? No. Anything wrong with where I was driving? No.
Of course.
Okay, I said, so then you haven't got problems. I said, bye then.
Then he was all stuttering.
Well, And I'm so glad that Tamar can remember it. And now here's the thing: a lot of people may say, "Oh, but that might be a one-off." No, it wasn't a one-off. And I'm not talking when I was a youth. I'm talking since I've been a daddy. You know, and I was already daddy to this one on the other side because she's older by 11 years. Yeah. So we're not talking when I was a youth. We're talking, you know, when I'm a big man, and they're still coming with that same rubbish.
Yeah.
You know the amount of times that police have drawn down on me in Leeds and stopped me and asked me rubbish when I'm driving my car.
They ask you, are these your children?
What did Nesfield
Yeah,
say?
because in their eyes, a black man is not supposed to be rolling with his kids.
For real.
Yeah.
Because they
the system somewhere.
stereotypical.
And they indoctrinate that stereotype in the schools, you know.
Hard. They do, because they even say,
It's disgusting.
maybe you can ask your mum or someone. And I'm like, because I remember
they don't ever say, well, your auntie or something.
Yeah.
Why
you
can't
can
I ask my
one
dad?
of your family members, and I'm like, well, I'll ask my dad. Yes, if you want. You know what I mean?
You want.
Those kind of things. And they used to try not to involve dad.
Thank God my children are going to tell the truth. Because it's the system that's part of the problem. And this is what I'm trying to say to people who might say, oh, well, you know,
You're being over the top.
you're being over the top and stuff. No,
because
Literally, it's a fact.
I used to say so many times, call my dad, ring my dad. And they never did it. They didn't want to involve dad because they knew already that they couldn't continue whatever rubbish they were trying or that they were trying to do to us.
She came from a balanced family. No matter the situation of whether I was divorced from her mother or not, she came from a balanced family. I was never, ever absent from their lives at no time. And as you can see, I'm still not absent now because she's just there and I'm right here. And although Zachary is in prison, if he wasn't in prison, well, you know, I'm not absent from their lives. I'm not one of them. And some of those youth who have had that as an experience, the system pushes it.
Completely.
The system pushes it. They don't support them. They push them away. So they push them out of school. They push them out of class.
Even though they know what the issue
is.
is.
There's no community centers for them.
There's
nowhere they can go to.
There's no mentoring.
There's no nothing.
Some of these young guys want somebody where they can turn to someone and say, look, this is what's going on. You don't even know some of the things. Listen, there's a youth found his mother in bed with an ex-woman. Right? My man's head is just boom. He didn't even know what to do. And he didn't have anybody to turn to talk about such type of things. And he's going on wild on the road.
Because he's going through things emotionally.
What rubbish is that? But you see, you've got to understand. When you are in a situation, let's take it back off the road a minute and let's go back to school. So now, because I can tell you my own experience on the road, and I've never really been a roadman, but police and the school and the system, they've always been against me. And I'm talking raw truth. And I'm not against the system. I was a prison officer, right? So understand that. I locked up criminals of every creed, color, race, nationality, religion, whatsoever it may be. I locked them up. I don't care whether they're black, white, pink, orange, or blue. I've been there. I also worked for 4 years for the Northamptonshire Police Authority. I was appointed by the then Home Secretary. So don't try to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. The system is bullshit. And that's what you need to understand. And I was part of the system. And I'm still saying what I'm saying. Tell me what Nesfield is saying.
It's the same thing with my kids. I call my children school a whole heap of time and give them my details, and they never ever call me.
See? Yeah, they don't want to because they want to divide. All they want is to see the mum, and they don't want to hear a strong black man's voice. And every strong voiced black man, they want to cut you down.
So they're not ringing.
And here's the thing: some people are, no, it's not like that, but it is like that. And that's not a thing about we're trying to say, oh, you know, race, blah, blah, blah. No, because I don't really care what color anybody is, but I'm telling you the facts of what they do. And that's when I say they, I mean the system.
Because where I come from in Kenya, anytime anything happened in school, I'm going to call your mom and your dad. It was
Right.
never, I'm calling you, unless they knew your parents were not in your life and maybe your grandma was looking after you or your auntie. I'm telling you, everybody who was looking after you was involved.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
See?
But now you see, even from school, it's been the same old setting.
Yeah.
So now you imagine now when that youth has had those issues from school days,
Yeah.
right? He ends up coming out on the road. I mentioned some of this in part one,
Mm.
but we're talking now today about the answer.
Yeah.
And this is where we're saying that the system of things needs to change.
Yeah.
Now, I know that there are some groups that are trying to work in schools and work with, what's going on there. And I don't want to get involved in that. And it's not to say that somebody else could, and even the organisation that I'm running, if we had people come along and latch on with us and they wanted to be going into schools, we'll support that.
Mhm.
But now, for me, I'm looking at those who've already gone further than that, and they're already older than that, and they're already on the road.
Yeah.
But what we have to understand and acknowledge is that it started in school.
Yeah.
That's where it started from. The identity crisis
Yeah.
was sown into them by the schooling system.
Yes.
Right? So that now, when they now get to a point where they're saying, well, you're useless, you're not going to turn out to anything, and all these type of things. And we're not talking colour necessarily, because it's not only black boys that or Bangladeshi boys that they do this to. It's ones who they find disruptive and difficult.
How many times has our granddaughter come? If it's not the shoes today, it's the hairstyle tomorrow, it's the bag tomorrow. We have to be calling to school to go and pick up a jacket, go and pick up I don't know what.
She forgot
they're taunting and tormenting the child continuously. Oh my God.
Talking about that, I remember
pencil.
one of the times she had given her a jacket.
Yeah, jacket.
Just a normal jacket that every human being can wear.
Yeah, a raincoat, wasn't it?
But it said Leeds. I don't know. And they're taking it away.
Took it away,
So she should just stand up in the cold.
Yeah, in the rain.
Because they took it away. Because they've got their little pet things that they have to do. And this is why I'm telling you that the system is full of crap.
Yeah, it is.
See, and all those type of things have to change because it doesn't help anybody.
No, it
It's like when they put them into punishment as what they it's a correction. And I'm still asking them
What are they
I've gone
correcting?
to the school and I said, when you're doing what you're doing, what are you actually correcting?
Yeah.
Nothing.
They can't answer me.
There's no
Because
answer.
when you look at the school system, because what do they say? Oh, school is to educate you and to get you ready for the working world. You're right. It is. It's to get me ready for the horrible, rigged, corrupt system that's already out there after you leave school. Because the system that is corrupt from school and is corrupt still till when you come out of school. So they're just preparing you. So, you can't go to the toilet when you want. You can't have a drink when you want. Oh, you can't take off your jacket when you want. Why do they do that? If you're compliant and you become programmed that, when you then go to your workplace, what does your manager and the people above you do? They start dictating how you can behave, what you can wear at work, what hairstyle is correct, what piercing or whatever is correct.
Even how you should think.
How you should do things. Oh, your voice is when you're answering the phone is not correct. All these things.
You know what? We had somebody just come, got recruited, to a place of work. She stayed anyway for 2 days. She's gone. I'm not even joking. From my era, if I showed you one thing, let me say, okay, she asked me what can I do. I said, anyway, you're shadowing, but I'm sure you can wash up a few pots, as we go along, because that's you don't need schooling in that. I'm telling you, she washed there one time, and the rest of the time when the pots were there, she can't see them. And why do you have to keep on telling somebody do this and do that? But this is what I mean.
But this is the whole thing. But you see, it's as though the system wants to turn out a bunch of donuts.
Yes.
They
just follow protocols and that.
The problem that we have is that many of the young men, especially young men who are on the road, have got to the point where they're saying bun that.
I'm not interested.
For a translation, for those who don't understand, they mean
Forget that.
Forget that. We're not
Yeah,
interested.
I'm not interested.
You know, so when you're telling us follow the system, we've done it,
Yeah.
and the system has failed us.
Yeah.
Now, I can speak as a law-abiding citizen, as someone who has not broken the law, but yet still the law has always worked against me.
Yeah.
So how do you work that out?
Yeah.
You know, how do you
Explain that.
explain that? That I've not broken the law. I've been a law-abiding citizen. I have worked with and for the law or the legal, the penal system and so forth, and still it's been against me.
Well,
Now-
because it's what happens.
This
when
is
you
what I'm
apply
saying.
for that job, and because your son is in prison, it was no longer available
Oh
to
yeah,
you.
I don't even want to talk about that
Because wouldn't they have been better employing somebody like you?
Yeah,
Because you
exactly.
can get through to your son and the people he knows and affect them straight away. No, but they can't see that.
because they all they want anyway. Because I know for a fact, obviously, we know that they look into people.
Yeah.
I know for a fact.
Yeah, the
They were
vetting.
looking at dad's social media. They
Yeah,
were
yeah.
on his
Of course, they will look
And
They're
they
at all
put
the
it
checking
time.
his mindset. You know, what is he thinking? What's he writing on there?
Well,
What's
what's
he
he
posting
saying?
on
Yeah.
there? Then they're looking, oh, what did he do before in his past, in his lifetime? Oh, he's had involvement with this, he's had involvement with that. And even what the stories that you told before that about when you were working at that place where the Home Secretary picked you and you weren't following along with their corruption. That's exactly, you know for a fact that that story is following
Of course
you.
it will.
It's
Of
not
course.
going to go away.
No.
People, somebody there at that police station would have said, "Oh, who's this that you're looking at the recruit? Ah, I've heard of this man back in blah blah. He did this and that, and he was saying this and that." Then they'll be going on. Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm saying. Yeah, so they don't want. They're not interested in somebody like that.
But that just confirms the corruption.
Exactly. It confirms the corruption because on the outside, oh, we want to diversify, but only in their way.
Yeah.
But only if you think how
Only
they
if
want
you
to
think.
think.
Yeah.
So
if
in
you
other
fit
words,
their
they
box.
don't want the mind. They just want a token.
Yes.
You
Yes.
see? And now what the
They
problem,
will
problem was, as I was saying about, you know, their so-called strategy, that they said, oh well, it worked in Scotland. It worked in Scotland because they didn't have
Diversity.
the diversity
Yeah.
that we have, you know, let's say here in the city of Leeds.
Mm-hmm.
And also they didn't have the level of mistrust because even when they've surveyed and asked the question, people there have said that they don't mistrust the police.
Yeah.
If you go now into the hood and ask the average man, I'm not even talking road man,
Normal
I'm
person.
talking any man,
Yeah. Not even
right?
a
Any man. And Lopez, tell me if I'm lying.
Mm.
Ask any man in the hood, do you trust
No.
West Yorkshire police?
No.
And I don't believe that you're going to get much of a good answer,
No.
right? You're not going to get much
Even
of
the
a,
people
of a,
that are
of a good
for the
answer.
police will say,
And it's very unfortunate
well,
because even me, myself, who's worked with police in the past and so on and so forth,
you
I've
know,
had to argue and ask some of these police, are you okay?
Yeah.
I had to ask them, is there something wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why are you
Corruption is
behaving the way you're behaving?
Yeah.
I had to ask them that. There you go. See, nobody no trust police like that.
Yeah.
That's
That's
what I'm saying.
That's a fact.
And so, and they also have got to acknowledge that, because they're coming. Oh, we want to do initiative on knife crime. We want to do this for young. But they're heading it and putting themselves up there at the top. And as soon as a man looks at that and sees police, blah blah blah, on that, even me, I'm not interested. Much less some of them guys on the road.
They're not going nowhere.
No.
Yeah, thinking
For what?
so that they can stand up in my
so that they can
terrorize
listen.
everyone.
Here is the truth of the matter, and this is what is the problem. I am in my 50s, right? I have one thing on my record, which is a put, as I call it, and that is from 2000 and or much 2003. It is not a conviction; it was a caution.
Oh yeah.
Right? I have no other thing than traffic offences. I've not been convicted of anything. I have, but here's the thing. When I applied for this particular post with the police, and I had to be vetted by the dirty, stinking, nasty Metropolitan Police, and you're wondering why I'm doing that, but that's because that's how I think
That's what they are.
And I've had my own personal experience with London Metropolitan Police, because remember I told you that's where I used to spend my youth. So no one can tell me that they're good, but they're not here yet.
No.
They decided, and they said, no, we're not going. We refuse to go any further with the application. So when I looked now to find out what the reasoning was, what they put in their letter is, this is what I'm trying to show you.
Yeah.
I have attended police stations several times throughout my life. I have been arrested more than once without conviction. All of that, they have a record of it. I don't have no blasted record of that, because how in the world am I supposed to sit down? Because here's the thing, if I was the average Joe, as in who didn't have this skin color and didn't have this big mouth, I might have only been arrested once maybe, or none at all. So then it would be easy. But trust me, I've been arrested a few times by dirty police, right? They said you didn't disclose. How the hell am I supposed to disclose things that happened when I was like 16, 17, I don't know what. I don't even remember. And plus, there's no conviction or anything.
Exactly.
Just, we don't like the look of you. Come on, inside, in you go. You see what I'm saying? Now they use that as part of their reasoning. No, we can't go any further with your vetting because of that. Now, remember what I said. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I worked in the prison. I locked up criminals. I also worked for a police authority at one point in time. And they're telling me, John Chambers, they can't vet me. So what happens now to the roadman who has committed a crime, gone to jail, felt sorry for his crime, come out of jail and decided, I want to change my ways, but now the police have got all this stuff that they forever keep against them.
It goes off your
I wonder if anybody's really understanding what I'm saying.
Yeah,
They keep it against them forever.
for life.
and
Right?
then the bitter
And then they turn around and
say,
say, them guys don't want to change their ways.
Oh, yeah,
them
really?
guys don't want to work with the police.
Yeah.
Work with which police?
When all you do is
say what?
yeah, their name is
use
painted for life.
Use a mistake.
I
Yeah.
told you, I
Part
wish
of
you
their
hadn't
life
brought that up because
against
you're making me get
Why?
mad round here.
Yeah.
You know, but no, sir. Because the thing is, imagine I haven't done anything, and they treat me like that. So what about a man who may have done something and wants to turn around his life? They don't make it easy for anybody to do that, and especially if one of their stuff.
Yeah, because that's why I said earlier about the rehabilitation. There is none.
There isn't none.
Yeah,
because that's why they put addicts in there.
But that's what I'm saying, because obviously, as you already know, my mum works at the prison still, at different prisons actually, on different times of the year. And she said all the time, they just come back in there. Yeah. She said, oh, what are you doing back in here? You know, to one of the prisons that she sees often. They say, oh yeah, miss, you know, I didn't have nowhere to go, so I just stole something from Sainsbury's to get back in prison, because there's no support, there's no rehabilitation, there's nowhere for them to go, there's nothing that they could do, they can't get a job because they've been in jail or they're in and out of jail. So then every job place, they're not interested in them, and if they are interested in them, it's to take advantage of them. Stupid jobs, no, hardly any money. Or they're, oh yeah, I'll take you on, but only cash in hand. So then they can short them and all these kind of things.
Isn't it? What did
Les Will says that's exactly what they do. They use one mistake and judge you for the rest of that man's life.
That's right. This is it. Yeah. So now, before we get too wild, because I can't stay here on this, we need to talk about the answer. So here's some of the answers as far as I'm concerned. First and foremost, let's not even pretend that it isn't what it is. The system tries to push people into a hole, right? They try to push them into a hole because that's where they want them to stay. We're laughing at our dog because he just is doing some joke.
Because no one's not paying him no attention.
Exactly.
That's why.
So the problem is this, you see. If you're now looking at these guys on the road, some of them who are on the road, who have been in and out of jail, they'll talk to the other ones who might not have been there yet. They'll tell them stuff like, okay, it's not that bad. You might end up having to go there. If you've not killed somebody, you're not going to go there for too long anyway. Right? Plus, they're going to tell them, because of any little foolishness that I've done and I ended up going to jail, every single where I've gone to try and even turn myself around, they give me a problem.
Yeah.
Even when they go even to a training course, they're being scrutinized and watched. And
Yeah.
scrutinized and
They
watched.
can't
You
go to
know,
the toilet.
if they cough, oh, you're a troublemaker.
Yeah.
You have to leave.
Yeah.
You know, all this type of thing. Your so-called reputation precedes you.
Yeah.
Doesn't even follow you. Precedes you.
Yeah.
That's what you got to understand.
Yeah.
So here's one of the things that I myself am putting forward as an answer. I've put together a community interest company called Kiwavi Solutions. Our aim, and we haven't done much, we haven't done well yet. Our aim is to break this cycle.
Yeah.
So here are the following things that I see, even from just speaking in this conversation. Number one, we need to be able, and this is one of the things that I'm doing. I'm in the process of setting up a business, and when Zakai comes out of jail, we're going to be setting up another one. Because I am going to employ those people who the other people don't want to employ.
Yeah.
So those roadmen and those ones who have been to jail before and they're finding it hard, I'm going to employ them.
Yeah.
I'm going to employ them. I'm not saying that they'll be perfect. And the ones who need to be fired, they'll be fired.
Exactly.
But I'm going to employ them. And okay, I'm not there yet, but by the grace of God and with the support of other people, hence the reason why I'm making it public, we want to put these businesses together.
Yeah.
So that, for instance, a lot of guys can work in security.
Yeah.
They can do stewarding.
Yeah.
They can do door work and stuff like that. So when my son comes out of prison, we're going to set up a security company. And we're going to make sure that we take some of these men off the road and put them into employment where they can start to make some clean, decent, and good money.
Yeah.
I don't know what Tom is saying there, unless we
To
agree.
be fair, Leslie just said love this. Tom is saying, to be fair, not all police are the same. It's a job like your prison work. Like you, most are cool, bad apples exist in every area.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not
That's
saying
true.
every
I'm not saying every policeman, Tom, of course.
Yeah, of course
But
not.
you'll be surprised that it's too many.
Exactly. Because that's the thing. It might not be everybody, it's too many.
It's too many.
Let's be honest. Because there's bad apples in every area. But if every area there's 20 here, then there's 20 in this area, then there's 20 in that, then there's 20 in this, then there's 20 there, then there's 100,000 down in London. It's too many of them. That's the problem.
Everybody knows about rotten apples.
And it becomes overwhelming.
Yeah.
See,
right.
exactly what Sarah said.
Yeah, if they stay in the barrel, they can affect the others.
Yeah.
And just to say, I'm going to go back to what I was saying about the answer or the solution. But just to answer to what Tom said there.
Yeah.
Yes, it is true that there are many police who are good. Yes, it is true there are many prison officers who are good. But, and this is a very big but, you've got to understand something about uniformed disciplined services. Let me explain, because I've been in them, so I can explain it. There is a thing which they call closed shop. And so let me try to explain to you in the best possible terms I can what closed shop means. If you are part of a uniform discipline service, such as the prison service, police service, fire service, but particularly let's talk about prison and police. Because of this closed shop business, they expect, and I'm telling you what I know from experience, they expect that even if your colleague has done something wrong, especially and particularly in terms of, where a criminal is concerned, you turn a blind eye.
Yeah.
You are supposed to support your colleague,
It's because
right?
it's another
Because
gang.
this
Yeah,
is of course it's
exactly.
another gang,
Yeah.
right? It's closed shop. It's another
Yeah.
gang. So even when they're doing wrong, you either support them or you keep quiet.
Yeah.
So the culture is such that even, for instance, let me give you an absolutely raw example.
Silence is compliance.
I was in the prison service and they were discussing about a particular prisoner in the office where I was. This guy at the time was the, he came third in the heavyweight weightlifting championship of the UK. So, pardon my language for you lovely Christian people. This is what they said. This big black fucking gorilla.
Yeah.
I was in the office and they forgot that I was there because I was busy doing something.
Mm.
So at that point, when I heard them say that, I got up and I said, yo. That's all I said. Didn't say another word. Those white guys nearly shit themselves in their trousers because they forgot that I was there.
Of course.
And I didn't move. I stood there looking at them until they actually told me sorry. I said, yeah, mind your language. That was one example. Another time, just to show you the culture, a prisoner came onto the unit and needed to be housed in his cell. And normally we give them, you know, a plastic plate, bowl, knife and fork and spoon, bedding and so on and so forth. So I knew where the things were in the cupboard, even in the dark. So all I did was I unlocked the cupboard, I pushed my hand in and grabbed the things. Unfortunately, somebody had moved them. And the reason why I'm saying I knew where they were is because I was the one who had sorted them out. So I just went like that, grabbed, and I came out with 2 spoons and a knife. The senior officer on the wing turned to me, and this is in front of all the prisoners and all the staff, and said to me, "Oh, John, white people eat with a knife and a fork."
Oh, I don't even know the dealt with that.
I just looked at him and I laughed, and I checked the time on my watch. And his brain didn't even tell him what I was doing.
You were documenting.
Yeah.
I was documenting, you understand me? So I looked at the time, I said, "Oh, right, okay. 17:20. Right? Then I took out my pocketbook and I wrote it down. And I also wrote down what he said.
Yeah.
Right? Put it back in, put my pen back, I went about my business. I then wrote a letter to the governor and I said, I want a face-to-face apology or I will take this much further. And the man had to apologize to me face-to-face, and believe you me, from that day until the day that I left, or he left first, I think, from that jail, he didn't cross me again. Not every man has got that strength of character to do that. And when they don't, they suffer.
Yeah.
So don't tell me, because I know.
And if that happened and you saw and heard it, what is really happening that you can't see or hear? The system is rigged, full stop, in my opinion. It's not a few bad apples, it's a few good apples. Yeah, I agree with that.
Of course, Pastor Nesfield, you are correct.
Yeah.
There are things that I can't even tell people because I just can't.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot and heard about a lot. Some I've heard secondhand, but I know it happened because when they name some names, I know.
Yeah.
Right? I can't
They're
even talk about some of them because some of them are notorious for certain types of behavior. I can't even mention it. But it's the fact that they treat certain people
in a certain
more
way.
unfavorably.
Yeah.
You know what?
You
You know what I find interesting, because we keep on seeing the same movies, you know, about the gangs and a corrupt police and all. Have you ever seen it's the same pattern? Because why are they not changing it? Because that's exactly what happened
they do.
from day 0 to until today. That's exactly the same thing.
That's right.
Because like I said, they show you something so that you accept it. When it happens, you're not shocked because you've already seen a reality.
It's the norm, isn't it?
It's a norm. Something has that you've seen has come in. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah.
You've embedded it inside you, so that when it happens, you say, "Oh well, you know, it's not that far fetched because I did see it on that program."
Exactly.
So that's why
Exactly.
Keep putting little things in these movies.
Yeah.
Subliminal messages.
Subliminal message.
Yeah.
Even my son Zaka is in prison.
Mm.
Not the one that he's in now, but where he was before. I'm not saying any of.
Yeah.
But he was telling me, and I said, you know what, Zaka, just cool yourself. Right? He said, they're racist, man. I said, look, first of all, they know you're saying it because it was a telephone conversation.
Yeah.
And I know
I think,
them.
they
I said,
would.
don't worry that you're saying it. I said, because if they are, they are. I said, but that particular jail, that particular jail where he was, they're known for that.
Yeah.
From my days, which was the 90s.
Yeah.
From my days until now, they were known for that. And I said to him, don't even take the bait. They're trying to bait you and put you in a corner.
Yeah.
And if you kick off because of their racism, you're going to
Us,
lose, and they're going to have you labelled forever.
Yeah.
I said, all you do when he was mentioning some certain thing, I said, when he starts with these things, just look at him. Just look at him. Don't say anything. Just look at him, and let him carry on saying and doing what he's doing. And when they're done, let them go about their business.
Yeah.
And you just hold it down.
For real.
Because I know, I know what they were trying to do because I've seen it done.
Yeah.
And once they put you in that corner, that's it.
And then what
They've got you labelled.
the roadman and all that who go and then suffer that. Why do they think they're going back again?
That's what I'm saying. They do their best.
Yeah.
And then when they hear anything, oh, we've got this program, well, you people
Yeah.
never.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is what I'm saying, that I don't know, because it's hard for us to get the resources from them.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm praying to have my own resources to tell them, stick your resources up your nostrils.
For real.
You understand?
Because they won't give it. Oh, we must collectively get with someone else who's not even got the same idea as us, or doing the same thing as us.
Interest in what we're
Let
trying
me
to
tell
do.
you, we have gone backwards from what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Because years ago, people would get together and they say, okay, council or whosoever, whatever it was at the time, they're not doing it. Let's get together and let's work together and let's do it. Let's build our own place. Let's do our own things.
Does the shy lady on the end say anything apart from giggling? Have you not been listening?
She does.
Yeah, she does.
It's because when you first spoke to him, you moved me out.
Hey?
When you first spoke to him, when we thought he was trying to be a troll again, you moved me out.
All right.
No,
Yes,
you're completely in the
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any difference. You're completely in the picture. And plus, the person who needs to be most in the picture is me.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, but you're in the
Tell
picture.
Tom that then.
I think he can hear. He's still there. You're in the picture anyway, so But now the thing is that we've got to come up with the answers ourselves. I'm not trusting them for anything because
They're not trustworthy.
my personal view is that the whole system will always be against a lot of people for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And I mean, I said, we really didn't want to make a part 3 on this. But there's a lot to say because the fact is that like I said, I am fully committed to seeing these guys go into employment the best way possible.
Yeah.
Now you've got to understand that you've got to also have people working with them who have the mindset and understanding of where they've come from and what they've gone through. Because now when we can speak to them and say, look, well, what's going on? Why are you still out here? What would you do instead? Well, there's nothing out there for me because blah blah blah. And a lot of them have said that to me.
Yeah.
We've got to work with that because that's the reality.
Yeah.
And why do we say it's the reality? Because we know it is.
Yeah.
Because even the fact that they'll say, police will say we'll leave them there because we want them to do something big enough to jail them.
Yes.
That's what they're after.
That's what they
don't
literally
want to intervene at a point where they can say, listen, we know that this is where you are, this and this and this, and we want to steer it because we want you to start doing this and blah, blah, blah. No, it's at a point where we want to wait until you do something big enough for us to jail you.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right? And that's what's happening.
I think if they'd done what you just said, they would have affected so many young people.
At the right time. or if they even worked with certain
Yeah.
people like myself, and
Yeah.
others, give us the, help us have the available tools to do those things. What's next, Lou?
We as a people have let too many people interfere and distract us and our movements because we love struggle and some stories from others. We allow people who claim they also struggle to come in and then hijack the very purpose of the movement.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and turn
Oh,
it
yes.
into their own right before our eyes, and then we lose control.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and that's got to stop. And for me, having seen my father, and when we're talking about my father, we're talking the 1970s, right? I've seen my father working in what was then Racial Equality Council, I think,
Oh yeah.
going into schools. There were some guys back in the day who would punch out teachers. My dad would go into the school to advocate for those guys, to get them back in school and things like that. And for some of them, it just didn't work. They wouldn't have them back, and some of them ended up going to reform.
Those
schools
awful
and,
schools.
Once again,
my dad acted as an appropriate adult, going to people, and he shared a lot of things with me. And of course, I was a youngster, and I was a kid. Then we're talking in the 1970s, racial prejudice in the UK was hardcore.
Yeah.
When I say hardcore, I mean that whereas now people pretend and they grin their teeth with you and stab you in your back. In the 1970s, they stab you in your front, your back, your side, and everywhere else. Straight up front, you black bastard. They'll tell you that in your face. So people thought that made it worse at that time.
No.
But the problem that we have is that way all the way forward now into 2021,
They've evolved.
they've evolved.
Yeah.
So people are more sophisticated
Yes.
in the way that they're dealing. So their discrimination is hot.
Yeah.
Because they'll discriminate your colour, they'll discriminate you've been to jail.
Yeah.
They'll discriminate, there's so many other things that are going on underneath that. Nah, we're not employing this
Even
type, we're not
religion.
employing that type, blah blah blah. Lay down. All this type of thing. Now the problem is that if we're waiting on the system to solve it, they're not going to solve it.
Yeah.
Right? It's not going to happen. So, like I said, we have an organisation. We're pushing that. We're going to start diversifying some of what we're doing. We've done this the way we've done it because of the lockdown as well.
Yeah.
But now we're going to get out on the street. We're going to start filming people. We're going to talk to them about what's going on. We're going to talk about the real. When I say the real, those who know road terms, they know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right? The real.
Yeah.
Of what's really going on out there. Right? And why they are where they are. We're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna put it in the face of those who need to hear it. Whether they want to hear it or not, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right? And that includes the church part as well. Because I said I'm coming to that next, right? We've talked a bit about, the system, this police, social services, whatever, council and all that. Now the church, because you see, for the Christians, they're supposed to have a part in all of this because, we're going to church, we're on our way to heaven and we're enjoying the trip.
Really?
You're on your way to heaven, you're enjoying the trip, but you've tripped up your children on their way to hell.
Yeah.
Right? They're flying
Real.
down.
You're too interested in
Your
your
children,
Sunday,
your
Monday,
grandchildren,
Tuesday meeting.
You're missing it.
And meanwhile, your son is out
They
there.
don't fit the picture. So, my son is okay, but somebody else's son isn't. So that's cool.
Yeah.
It isn't cool.
No.
Right? What do you have to say? What is your response?
Yeah.
Because listen, even until today, when you look at the USA, for instance, and you speak of let's talk about, forget Black Lives Matter for a minute, because I don't subscribe to them no at all. But if you go back to the civil rights movement and talk about that, which we know ostensibly was about, dealing with racial prejudice, but it wasn't only. It was about what it said, civil rights, which is more than just about color.
Yeah.
But they dealt ostensibly with racial prejudice. Back in the day of the civil rights movement, it was people, Martin Luther King Jr., a Christian preacher. Malcolm X, a former Christian turned Muslim preacher. Right? others that I could name, many who were involved as Christian people, religious people, and their involvement
Yeah.
in the struggle.
Mhm.
You know, Al, what's the man's name? Al Sharpton.
Al Sharpton,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sharp.
You know,
Yeah.
Christian Reverend.
Johnny Cochran.
Yeah, Christian again. You know, now here's the thing. None of those are perfect men, and you know, there's been some women involved there too as well. But until today, people are holding them up and saying, "Oh yeah." Why? Because one of the things that was quite obvious is that they had an ability to gather people together through their network.
Mm.
But what we have now, and I'm talking Leeds now, particularly, is that the networks in Leeds don't work.
No.
They don't work because everybody has got their own thing going on, and there's no collective network.
Mhm.
So this is the problem. So, for instance, as I mentioned last week, and I'm going to mention it again because it is to the detriment of the church as a whole. The last carnival that we had, a young man is murdered.
Yeah.
And even the involvement of people who were or used to be even in churches in the city. And all the churches are still clapping their hands and singing hallelujah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not even into that, even 1 inch, because you're wrong. 100 times over, wrong. And anybody who listens to this now or later and you heard what I said and you're vexed, carry on and be vexed. You're wrong.
True.
Totally wrong.
Can only be vexed if
Right? And the problem is that one man, as in me one sitting here and talking, or me one going there, yes, I can do a certain amount to a certain extent, me alone, but that's not how it's supposed to work, right? Because we're supposed to deal with this collectively.
Yeah.
You see? Maybe I can be a big mouth and a big voice by myself because I can talk, but collectively is how we deal with it.
Yeah.
Right? There is power in numbers.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that the numbers don't exist any at all. They are there, but people are just basically turning their attention to their own self-seeking, self-aggrandizement, you know, trying to big up themselves and their stuff.
Yeah.
And they're forgetting that, you know, the Bible, all right, this is not my platform for preaching today, but I don't care. Let me tell you what the Bible says. The Bible says where you are in your city, you're to pray for the peace.
Yeah.
So on the carnival, when my man is there stabbing somebody to death, what were you praying? And what were you saying?
Yeah.
And I'd love an answer. Because there's people saying, he's saying too much. He's saying too much. Well, I'm saying too much because I want to know what were you saying. And not only what were you saying, but from today, what are you saying?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
The
Because
it
can't continue. I refuse for it to continue, and I'm not going to stop talking.
Well, you know, it's like
it won't be me alone. I've got at least these three who will be on the road with me. Not just Chapel Town, not just Harefields. The whole city of Leeds has got issues, and we will be on the road because that's where the issues are. You stay in your church, whichever building, whether you own your building or you rent or whatever, you stay in there and you sing, you clap, you shout, and you preach and teach and speak to each other. And the man them on the road are killing themselves with knives, with guns, with drugs, with alcohol, with sex, and you're just like, oh. I read it in the newspaper. And then,
but they're talking to the children who go to church.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But
they're not asking them to like that.
Yeah, and they're not talking about the ones who are on the
anything.
streets.
They're not telling them. Oh, they just bring your friends if you like, and then their friends come, right? No, just like that. Then the friends come. You know, they come to the service. They sing their little songs. They give them a little mini Bible or some crusty gift, a little. You know, a little bookmark or something. They give them maybe a little cup of tea and a biscuit, and they're just, oh yeah, you're right, yeah, we'll have to, you know, come back, you know, come again to church, and then they just go home, and all that person is thinking is No one has spoken to me
Yeah.
about anything.
About
No
the
one
wild-
has-
the
haven't
wild-
learned
anything.
About the wild life that they're living.
Yes.
The madness that they're living through
Yeah.
every day.
No one has supported me. No one has asked me, "Am I all right?" No one has tried.
You know the
They
amount.
just
You know the amount of people that buzz on my phone talking about what they're going through.
Mm.
My wife will tell you.
yeah.
She sees me, and sometimes she sees me shaking my head and just like, "Lord have mercy." Again. And I just texting them, do this, da da da. Let me tell you, the first thing that I'm discussing with them is not go to church.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And now a lot of people like, him. That's why we don't rate him because he's not building church. No, I'm not interested in building churches. I'm interested in building people.
Exactly.
Well, building
What was
churches
right?
that
doing?
denigrate people.
Because
instead of
listen,
uplifting
hold
them.
on. Now this is to the church. You can read him in a minute. Just follow. This is the church to the church because I know some of you watch what I'm saying, right? Let me tell you something. There's some of you who are the biggest hypocrites in this world. Never mind biggest hypocrites in Leeds. Biggest hypocrites in the world. You live like animals in your yard. You don't speak to each other. You don't have no time for each other. You don't even like each other. But then all of a sudden you're having your church, you're preaching, you're there clapping your hands, hallelujah, blah, blah, blah. We're having a good time and you're faking it. And you even sometimes preach and teach and tell people that they should fake it. But let me tell you something about man on the road. They don't fake it.
No,
That's what you got to understand. They don't fake it.
Nope.
they're not faking.
And this is what the problem is.
Yeah.
When they're ready
People
to
who are
stab
out
somebody,
there on the road,
it happens.
right? Whether it's man who's got beef with the next man,
Yeah.
whether it's man who's selling drugs, whether it's woman who's selling their self on the road, they don't fake it,
Nope.
No.
right? They don't fake it, and they don't like fake,
No, they don't.
right?
Any fake.
So stop it.
On the
That's why
road.
they don't
Because
like it.
that's why they're not chatting to you, and that's why you're not effective. And you can say, "Oh well, John Chambers, you're just there running off your mouth. How effective are you being?" You're gonna see.
Yeah.
You're gonna see. You're gonna see. Because I'm not stopping talking and I'm not stopping going. So you will see.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to do more than just talk about it behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Because that isn't solving anything.
It's not.
Sometimes even some of you have the platform to do better, and you're just there doing pure fart on that platform.
No, it's
No, I'm
true.
tired of it.
It's
It needs
for
to
real.
stop.
You're too
It
busy.
needs to stop.
Too busy doing singing
There was an event.
and all this kind of
I'm not even
rubbish.
going to name the event, but those of you, if you listen to this, you'll know because you know who you are, you know what you've done. An event that should have been, that was supposed to be a Leeds citywide event. They got to go into the city centre, right in the middle of everywhere, where everybody's shopping and doing their thing. They set up a stage, they've got everything there. Not one word of a gospel was preached. Not one word of conviction was put towards those young people. But and pure rubbish music even was. Sorry, but you know, certain music you can't play in an event like that. You have to. No, man. Yeah, you have to use common sense. People were passing there and go, "What's going on here then?"
Yeah.
Even it's as if they were even only interacting with themselves. Even the way that the thing was set up, there were some stalls that were there. They're facing inwards instead of facing outwards. Right? You got to understand what I'm saying. Oh, he's just being critical. No, I'm not. I'm telling you the raw truth. And if you're saying that, if he thinks he can do better than he should, I can and I will. Because it's not good enough.
No, it's not.
No, nothing was done. There was no, we need to pray for our young men because they're dying here. They're killing themselves, etc. There was none of that. Just our entertainment. And some girl with a little sharp skirt going up and down the stairs.
But that's what this world is run by now.
Yeah.
And that's how everybody is distracted.
Yep.
And they don't know what's going on. And they don't see what's going on in their community. And even because, as you already know yourself, that unless you seek for certain things, you don't even see them on the news, on the media,
You don't.
or anywhere. You don't
Exactly.
see it. And there's things that are going on. And no one even knows.
You don't find it. I told you, things that have gone
And then
off
when you
in
tell-
Leeds. And,
Yeah.
and and it's not even reported.
It's not even reported.
But when you tell people,
They
it's
say,
like
"I'm
you
hand
made
it
it.
up."
Yeah. Oh well, no, that can't be right because it would be on the news.
No,
Let me tell you something about
it's got to be addressed
Yeah.
in a different way.
Church
People,
people,
go on. What is that?
church
Sorry.
peoples don't even bother with carnival, but believers should be involved. We should be on the road, and we should have stalls and floats at carnival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I believe so.
Yeah.
also.
when the next one comes,
Yeah.
If you ever
Plenty of
comes
time to
again,
plan it.
Whichever comes again in COVID situation.
God Almighty, American Southern accent.
oh man, I'm telling you. And you know the thing about just to say about the system to prove a point. A few years back, Pastor Nashville, trust me, you don't even know this. I used to have a whole sound system. Yeah, for real. And anyway, wherever some speakers, some blew, some burnt out because I lent them to man here and there, some teeth, some whatever. So I'm starting from scratch. But I don't have money right now, but by the grace of God, it will come little by little. I'm going to build another sound system. And you know what? Some years back, we set up the sound system. And we didn't set it up outside, we set it up in my own yard. If you ever see the amount of police that came to switch off that sound system, you and you know, only for one reason. Because we put up a banner and some demonized policeman looked at that banner and he didn't like what was written on the banner.
Yeah.
You see, because it's talking about deliverance and dealing with demonic powers and I don't know what. You're entertaining the streets. I said, I'm not entertaining the streets. I'm entertaining myself in my own yard. No.
Very interesting.
He brought. Oh yeah. They're trying to
yeah, and to shut you up. Like he said,
right?
the man saw the deliverance poster.
The policeman saw the poster. I'm going to repeat it.
Demonized.
Right? And demonized policeman saw my poster talking about deliverance for young men and young people from the things that are keeping them bound on the streets. And we were playing gospel reggae music with the sound system. My own equipment in my own yard. They came, 9 police, you know, came to switch me off. And they even went to look for what do you call them on environmental health to come to check the sound level. Saying the decibels is too much. Because you can't have that in your own yard with that amount of decibels. And it was outside. My own yard, not on the road. And that's why I'm telling you, you have to know that the system is against you, but that can't stop you.
No, you have to push past.
And if they say, well, you have to have this permit and that permit and
get the permit,
I'll get it. We'll get them. Right? But we must do what needs to be done. I can't believe that, and I'm saying this to myself too. One of the biggest platforms that we have is at that carnival.
Yeah.
To say and do something on that road. Because no one can't shut your mouth. And listen, you could have a chain of preachers preaching off a mic there. Music playing in the background. And you could have 5, 6 or 7 preachers blasting one after the other. I have never seen it.
Nope.
Man are wasting their time chatting rubbish, but they're having their little conference on that on carnival.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're off.
And you know what? Where this youth, even the youth from their own church, they're not there. They're at carnival.
Yeah. They're not going to church that day. Oh no, I'm going to my friends.
Yeah,
I'm going to my friends.
They're out there.
Of the carnival.
Get out there.
Follow the float, mate.
You've got to change it.
Yeah.
What's my money saying?
I'm off now, guys. Sorry, I seemed like a troll. Just wanted to listen. It was so cool and it was interesting. Thank you, Tom.
Cool,
Thank
Tom.
you, Tom.
Take care,
It was
man.
nice of you to come on.
Cool one. But yeah, for real, we've got to do something, different, and we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm not just interested in just talking so that and then people can say, listen, he just see there running us. I'm not running down anybody. I'm speaking truth, and I'm speaking about what I'm gonna start implementing from my side. Whether any hands come to help inside there or not, that's up to them. But there'll be at least these ones here. Until others will come. And God will send the others.
Yeah.
But we're not going to keep quiet. and we're not going to just sit down and shut down. That's not going to happen.
It's
No.
not. It's
No.
time for change.
That's
It's
it.
like, you know, they've like keep saying on the news, oh, this is the new normal now.
Yeah.
This is what we're going through.
I'm not
No,
accepting none of
this
this
world
new
now,
normal,
this
nothing.
is not mine. This is not normal,
No.
and it's not new
No, this is the
either.
abnormal.
Yeah, this is the old abnormal.
Yeah.
As it
Coming
was
back.
in the days
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
Noah.
let's get real about it.
So shall it be. That's what the Bible said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what were the people? What were the followers, of Christ, and the people who, trust in God? What were they doing in them times? Were they chilling at home, watching a Netflix? No, I'm sure maybe sometimes they were, but at the end of the day, no. But they're watching something, hearing stories, whatever. Yeah, entertainment. Yes, to a certain level there would have been entertainment and enjoyment, but at the end of the day, also the disciples were doing what they needed to do.
Yeah.
They were spreading the gospel. They were speaking to people. They were helping people. And I'm sure there was other Christians as well who were also not just the disciples, who were also joining along, helping, doing this, helping people to do that. Now, what's happening? No one. No one ain't doing nothing. Oh, we're having a
empire
everything is
building
about
business.
their church
What they
and
want
what's
to do.
happening in their church
Yeah.
and their church people,
Mm.
and that is it. And anyone new who comes,
Mhm.
they might have a little chat with you, but you're not
That's
going to get to speak to them really until you've been going there for a while. They don't accept you until they see your face many, many times coming there every week. Then it becomes, oh yeah, how are you? Are you all right? Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah,
But then
you
it's
up
as if
Yeah.
you are actually feeling like you're going to be pushing through that each week,
Exactly.
coming and being ignored
Exactly.
until they decide you're important enough to speak
Exactly. And some people can't do
to.
that.
No.
Some people, once they get that wall, that's it. They
Yeah.
need connection.
Once you feel
Yeah, to
unwanted,
be
a lot
able
of
to
people
be
don't
in a
want to
place.
come
But
back.
they've got connections anyway.
Right there.
Exactly. So to them, they're thinking, oh, what am I
Just
even
go back to
coming
where
in
they
for?
felt the connection
No
before.
one's chatting
And
to
some
me.
of those connections are exactly what you need to break.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
and
with
this
your
is what
connection.
we're saying, that it's all good and well that people are doing their programs that they feel are useful and beneficial to them.
Nowhere was off limits to the disciples.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
This is what I'm saying.
And this is exactly what the issue is, that we have seen too much of people. They've got their one track mentality about what they call church.
Yeah.
But yet at the same time, from their so-called church, they're busy telling people that they have the answer.
Yeah.
Right? And remember, that's what we said. What is the answer? They believe they have the answer. Then they'll tell you, well, Jesus is the answer. Well, where is Jesus? If you're Christian, you're carrying Jesus in you.
Exactly.
Right? So you can only carry him from your yard to your church building and back.
Yeah.
So
That is true.
And if that's the case, that's as far as the answer goes.
Yeah.
The answer isn't going any further.
No.
Because if they are not coming to you, you have to go to them.
Exactly.
Right? Yes, I'm not saying that you must go to them on their term, that you must go and get drunk and no. But you have to go to them on the terms of what's in you and believe that what's in you can affect them.
Yeah.
You see? But you've got to go where they are.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And that's how the disciples were, that's how Jesus was. That's why he kept traveling around.
Yeah.
Oh no, they must come to us and they must come on our terms. Nah, it doesn't really, it's not really, that's not how it goes.
Not at all.
And otherwise, basically, you ignore the reality of what's going on, that these people are out there, so many are struggling with so many. I mean, go if you like and go and ask the ladies who are there selling themselves in Holbeck. And just ask them, oh, do you really enjoy and love what you're doing, and do you think this is the best thing that you could ever be doing?
No.
Yeah, because
They feel
even
they have no other choice.
when Jesus told Simon
I feel that
Peter
way.
that I'll, come with me and I'll make you, fisher of men. Because when you fish, you don't sit in your house and you wait for the fish to come. Oh, which net are we going into?
Yeah.
You go out there and you get them. And when you get them, the Jesus who you know is going to affect them, because the what they'll hear from your mouth continuously over their life is going to affect them then. But you're sitting there continuing and waiting for people to just, look for wherever they want to go, wherever they're going, or well, I don't know if I'll go there, or I don't know if I want to go into that section, or I don't know.
It don't work like that. And as soon as said, the truth is this: you don't go to hospital and expect to see people that are not sick or ill.
Yeah.
You can't come to church or run a church and expect perfect people.
Yep.
For
And
real.
that's a fact.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
The church is about healing people and bringing people to God and
Yeah.
helping
And
them.
at the level that they're at.
Yes.
And people are
Yeah,
going to
come as you
at
are.
different levels.
Yeah.
And like I said, this forum today is not really about preaching.
No.
But I did say I want to address some things to the church as well.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. My number one thing to the church, and I'm going to repeat it again, is stop the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
It's as simple
For
as
real.
that. Stop the hypocrisy.
Because it's
Because
really
you think
hindering.
people out there don't know and see, but they do.
That's
they
the
talk,
main, that's
they
the
see
main
it.
reason.
Those guys out there on the road, they see the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's
they
why they're
know,
not interested.
they know who's real and who isn't real.
Mhm.
Right? They do know.
Yeah.
So you stay there playing games and pretending they know.
Yeah. They're not
Right?
stupid,
They
and that's
know.
why they're not at your church.
And they know who cares about them and who doesn't.
Yeah.
They know.
And that's it.
Simple, simple as that.
I eat
Not
that.
that, I eat that.
I eat that.
Yeah.
I do now. I need to learn how to say it properly. I eat that.
They know. They know.
Really?
I don't understand why every minute about
I
trying
do.
to connect.
You know why?
Listen. Why are
Facebook.
they? No, I'm addressing him. Listen, yeah, Mark. What is his name, Mark?
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg. That's it. Yeah. Listen, you idiot. Stop cutting off our connection. It's getting tiring and it's getting boring. Yeah.
Mm.
And we know that you're doing it.
Just leave
And
it.
and you do it everywhere, because even I watched a live the other day about this man that was had to ring the FBI because of certain things that were going on. And what were they doing to his life? Cutting it up, and doing all this stuff to it.
Yes.
You can't hear what he's saying every minute. Stop the rubbish.
I love the prisoners, the prostitutes, the roadman, them, everybody, and as soon as we see them, I just run over to them and embrace them. We must put love first. Jesus said we look and gunk in the other person's eye. Oh, at gunk in the other person's eye. When we ourselves have a big plank in ours. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real.
I'm telling you.
Yes.
For real.
I'm telling you.
You said it better.
Move what's in your own
Absolutely.
life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Bob Marley said one as well, something about fingernails and pointing.
I'm sure people can work out whatever the quote was. But yeah, what he said.
Yeah, what he said. But listen. The last thing that I want to say really, and
Then we're done.
this is like I said, this is not part of our forum on a Tuesday for us to be preachers per se. But I'm a
But it's
preacher.
natural.
It's natural, so I'm never going to not preach in a sense or refer to the Word of God or the Bible. But on the 28th of February, that's a Sunday, I'm going to be doing a live, and it's going to be about demons and demonology.
Ooh.
So I'm just telling people in advance, for those who might want to tune in, I'm going to be doing Zoom as well, so that some people can join my Zoom and be interactive. And it's entitled Demons and Demonology. Let me explain what I'm coming with so that you can understand. I personally believe that one of the biggest problems that we have in the city of Leeds is demonology.
Oh boy, you know it.
That the reason why Leeds has been the first city in the UK to have a legalized prostitution zone is because of certain demonic principalities that are ruling that area.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to talk a little bit more about that on that day on the 28th. I'm not going to talk in too much detail. So I'm going to talk about how to deal with the demons that exist in people.
Mm,
I'm going to talk about how to deal with demons that exist in the atmosphere,
yeah.
what you do to get them out, the process to drive them out, and what you need to do after they have been driven out.
Mhm.
That's what I want to talk about. And hopefully, by the grace of God, from when I do that live, every month, I'm going to be talking about that once a month. In Armley, in person. I'll give you more information about that as we come. But what's missing in this city, big time, is the deliverance ministry.
For real. Where
That
do you find which
Most
church?
of the people,
Which church?
I'm not
None.
talking about churches where they're doing fake stuff.
Flying everyone
knocking
around.
people over on the ground and blowing on them and pouring water and oil
That's
on
a
them.
dramatics.
And you know, being amateur dramatic.
And all them things
I'm not talking about
flinging
that.
them around.
I'm talking about driving demonic entities out of a person's soul and spirit. Well, they're not in there attached anyway, but driving them out
Yeah.
so that they are clean and free. There are many people on the streets who are bound by demons.
Yeah.
There are many people so-calledly in churches who are bound by demons. The reason why young men can kill each other with a knife and feel nothing is because they are bound by demons. The reason why women are forced to be selling themselves on the streets in Holbert is because they are bound by demons. The reason why men are selling drugs to people and not caring whether they become drug addicted or even die from those things is because they are bound by demons. That's what we need to look at. And the city of Leeds needs some serious deliverance.
Yeah.
And that's the mark that I want to finish on.
Yeah.
That's what we need. Yep. That's the answer. Christian or no Christian, that's your business. Because even when you go to mental health, they are driving out demons, or they're trying to.
They're subduing
They
them.
try to subdue them with medication, or they try to drive them out through talking.
Back in the day, it used to be
and all of
torture.
that.
Yeah,
And that's what they're doing.
lobotomies.
They're trying to drive those demons out. But I come to tell you that when we confront them in the name of Jesus and command them to come out, they will come out.
Yeah. They don't have a choice.
And that's what Leeds needs.
Yes.
So all other churches who are doing whatever they're doing, God bless you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Valentine's, all of it.
We'll get to the program.
Let's go.